Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 17th, 2013. It is currently 8:30 a.m. and we have some colder air starting to bleed into the northern mid-Atlantic this morning. Currently, we have temperatures in the upper 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s over the New York City metropolitan area, and upper 30s to lower 40s over the Philadelphia metropolitan area and southern New Jersey. Now, there is a threat for snow for southern New Jersey. Yes, where it's the warmest right now. That's the best potential for snowfall heading into late tonight into tomorrow morning. I'm going to show you why this storm that's approaching us is going to be suppressed and where this cold air is coming from. I'm sure you can notice up in western New York and northwestern New York, we have temperatures in the upper 20s. These locations will not see temperatures move much at all the rest of the day. Meanwhile, our location, well, we're going to see our highs peak in the early afternoon, let's say around 12 to 2 p.m. And then we'll see a gradual drop off in temperatures and then a more steady drop off in temperatures tonight as cold air pushes south. Now, take a look at the radar. Notice a very important observation here. This moisture is not moving any further north. It's like it's being capped. Meanwhile, you can see this moisture here coming off of the Great Lakes. This is an Arctic cold front right here. So you have our Arctic cold front dropping south, and you have this moisture here. Now, you would think if these two storms phase, or these two disturbances phase, hey, this could be a big storm. But right now, as you can see on the radar, there's no indication of that. There's no indication of this moisture lifting further north. In fact, it's being suppressed a little bit just over southern New Jersey, back towards the Delmarva Peninsula, and then towards Virginia. And so far, there has been no indication whatsoever of this moisture pushing north. Now, when we take a look at the infrared satellite picture, you can clearly see our low pressure system developing over the southeast, and I'm sure everyone's picking up on this. What this is an indication of strong frontogenesis, or basically a strong thermal gradient, which I'm going to show you in just a moment why we're seeing that, because it's pretty impressive. But this is an Arctic cold front, and behind this Arctic cold front is plenty of dry, cold air. And when this cold front moves through, believe me, you're going to feel it, because your temperatures by tomorrow morning are going to be crashing into the upper teens over the northern tier, let's say northeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, Connecticut, the Hudson River Valley, lower to mid 20s over the New York City metropolitan area, and mid 20s over the Philadelphia metropolitan area by tomorrow morning. Could be a little bit colder than that depending on how much snowfall actually develops around Philadelphia. Could see it dusting to an inch, maybe. But you can see here this cold air is pressing south. Now, if I wanted to see a phase here, if I wanted to say, hey, this storm's going to phase, one of the things I would look for is that this to back build, and also for the thermal gradient to start to bleed south. In other words, the cold air starting to interact with this subtropical storm. But as I'm going to show you in just a moment, that is not happening. Taking a look at the water vapor satellite picture, you can see this a little bit better here. Here's our subtropical disturbance. Here's our polar disturbance. As you can see right now, there is no indication whatsoever of any type of phase. It's clearly a separation in the polar and subtropical jet stream. And when you look at the upper level winds, they're not tilting from southwest to northeast like you would like to see, with the disturbances going into a negative tilt and about to turn up the coast. What you're seeing here is a constant wind field from the southwest to the east. So that means our moisture is moving southwest to east, which means it's not moving any further north. It's being suppressed or pushed due east. What you would want to see if you want to see a snowstorm over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area is for these winds to start to shift more to the southwest or start to shift to the south. That way, not to draw warm air, but that way it pushes the moisture field further north. And we're not seeing that at all in the upper level winds above 700 millibars. We're just seeing this west to east confluent flow. So let me break down the observations here. Now, this is at 925 millibars. I think you can pretty much make out where the Arctic air is. It's right here, behind that cold front, which we can see right here, starting to move south. Now, the idea here is this. If this storm and this cold air were about to interact in phase, this cold air here would start to rapidly race south into the southeast, and temperatures would be crashing like a rock over portions of the Tennessee River Valley and over the central and northern Mississippi River Valley. Instead, you can kind of see this little warm tongue here. There's a bit of a separation between the two storms here, between the two jet streams and air masses. So as a result, we're not seeing any indication of this cold air rapidly working south, interacting with the storm and allowing the storm to blow up off the New Jersey coast. No indication of that whatsoever. What we are seeing, though, is a slow and steady bleed of cold air to the south. So I think that our temperatures will rise into the mid 40s along the coast, possibly even a few upper 40s, let's say 47, 48, along the New Jersey coast. But then those temperatures will rapidly fall off as this cold air invades the northern mid-Atlantic this evening, and it will lead to a transition of the potential for snowfall by this late evening into the early morning hours for Friday morning. 850 millibars, it becomes even more. It stands out even more. I mean, you can clearly see the thermal gradient and why we're seeing all this increased convection or rising air over the Ohio River Valley with a strong thermal gradient setting up here. But again, no indication of this Arctic air dropping south and interacting with this disturbance. Sure, we got a little bit of polar air here, but nothing really dynamic that would really shift this storm to the north. And notice all of our winds at the mid-levels are even going from west to east. There's not this push to drive that moisture further north. In fact, when we take a look at the moisture transport, which is kind of important if you want to have snow to develop over the northern Mid-Atlantic, you kind of need moisture along with the cold air. There's no indication of this moisture driving north. It kind of gets capped off because we're seeing a separation. Further, if you want to really put a nail in the coffin here, here's at 500 millibars. This disturbance, the subtropical disturbance, has finally gotten to more of a neutral tilt. It's been positive. It still has a slight positive tilt to it. Now, what that basically means is that this disturbance is more progressive. It's moving fast, okay? And also notice we're seeing a clear separation with our polar/Arctic jet stream here. So this is remaining separated. You don't see any interaction between these two disturbances at this time. And we're not seeing any signs of this going into a negative tilt, which would lead to the low pressure system slowing down and moving a little bit closer to the coast. No indication of that whatsoever. Now we're going to watch this carefully because these disturbances in this type of setup is always a little bit tricky, and it doesn't take much to change a situation and to basically produce situations where you end up with 6 inches of partly cloudy. You know, that's how this type of thing happens, where this juts a little bit further north, this juts a little bit further south. We're talking a couple miles, and boom, there's your storm. Don't expect that to happen right now, but that's how you end up with 6.5 inches of partly cloudy instead of just dry conditions, if you know what I mean. But at this time, based on all the observations I'm seeing here, I see no indication of any phasing. I see no indication of this storm moving further north. It should move from the Tennessee River Valley towards the Delmarva Peninsula and out towards the Atlantic, with a period of light snow for southern New Jersey and scattered snow showers further north. So taking a look at the latest forecast, you can clearly see here snow showers can be expected, very, very scattered, trace if anything for New York City, Connecticut, Hudson River Valley, northeastern Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey. Around the Philadelphia metropolitan area, because the cold air is going to be really moving in, we're going to see our temperatures fall through the 20s, the fluff factor will become more of an issue. So looking for maybe a trace to an inch, and that inch is going to be on grassy surfaces, and it's going to be highly, highly isolated. But because that cold air is moving in, you get a snow shower move in, and boom, there's an inch. As far as southern New Jersey and southwestern New Jersey, could see 1 to 2 inches. Again, most locations around an inch. And again, that's kind of taken into the fact that the temperatures will be falling through the 20s, thus the fluff factor here with some precipitation moving through, leading to snow. And then further south, now this 4 inches is really focused more for around Cape May, which is part of it in conjunction with what's going to be developing around portions of central Delaware. So you could see about 4 inches around Cape May, New Jersey. Around Atlantic City, I'm looking more around 2, maybe 3 inches. Again, taking into account of that colder air moving in and the fluff factor as basically our snow ratio increases while the temperatures decrease. Taking a look at the latest forecast from the European model guidance and, tweaking it a little bit. Again, you can follow the latest model guidance at the Penn State EWOL website. Excellent website for your model needs. And it's free, so hey, you can't beat that, right? You can see last night, here's our disturbance, positive tilt. You see that right there. A negative tilt has a trough like this, okay, which would lead the slow pressure system tracking further west. No indication of that happening once again. You can see also a clear separation between them. By this evening, again, still more of a neutral tilt. What I'd want to see is this becoming a negative tilt. If that happened, this storm would be a big deal, but it's not. So you see, here's our polar vortex. Everything's suppressed. Could see some light snow around southern New Jersey again. And here's our high pressure system around the St. Lawrence River Valley. Again, almost a perfect setup. That's why winter storms are very hard to forecast. Almost a perfect setup. If only these two had interacted. If these two disturbances had interacted, we'd be dealing with a significant snowstorm for the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, but it is not. So again, here's our snowfall moving through. By Friday, again, high pressure will be in control. Most of Friday will be pretty pleasant with temperatures basically in the upper 20s to lower 30s over much of the northern Atlantic. Again, let me repeat that. Upper 20s to lower 30s for highs. Yes, hello winter. But the good news is that Saturday and Sunday actually look pretty pleasant with high pressure shifting off the coast. An Arctic cold front's going to be approaching, so ahead of that Arctic cold front, we will rebound into the upper 30s to lower 40s for highs, lower to mid 40s on Sunday before our Arctic cold front moves through on Sunday evening with a few scattered snow showers and temperatures crashing through the 20s, well, through the 30s, the 20s, and then the teens. And then by Monday morning, we're talking about lows in the mid-teens to maybe lower 20s along the coast on Monday morning. And we're going to keep an eye on a strong disturbance. This one right here that's going to dive towards the mid-Atlantic coast and could produce a period of snowfall over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan areas Monday night into Tuesday morning. Again, this isn't the perfect pattern here, but we're going to keep an eye on this disturbance and all this cold air. With all this cold air in place and temperatures in the 20s and lower 30s, well, it won't take much to produce a bit of a accumulated snowfall. So we're going to keep an eye on Monday night into Tuesday morning, possibly as late as Tuesday afternoon as the slow pressure system develops. Again, what I'd want to see is this upper level low around here rather than up here to slow this storm down. But right now it looks like a bit of a progressive yet cold pattern here with these disturbances potentially interacting with each other. So again, we have to keep an eye on that. And then moving forward towards Wednesday, very cold, temperatures not getting out of the 30s possibly. We could be dealing with temperatures in the mid to upper 20s over the interior for highs and upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. And our lows are going to be in the teens to lower 20s. So clearly we're dealing with a much colder air mass. Now, as cold as what was seen in 1985, that type of cold air is staying locked up here in Canada where it's minus 30 degrees at the mid-levels. But clearly we're going to be dealing with some very cold air, some of the coldest air of the season. And of course, keep an eye on this. This is going to be very interesting moving forward with this cold air locking in and this upper level low here starting to spit out disturbances towards the southern plains and towards the southeast as we move over through the next couple of weeks. Sometimes the smallest details do matter. Well, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Again, you can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.